of the vessel, I'm the one that's got a secret. My energy can't move like I got shackles on my spirit. Yes, I heard the news, they speaking on me, I can't hear it. Don't get it confused, you cannot choose who gon' be cheering.
Welcome back to the channel, Kimyo and Space Cadets. It's the leader of the Cosmic Armada back to bring you another Ordeal review. We will be covering the events of 143, so if you enjoy content like this, let me know by liking the video, leave a comment down below, and share it with friends. With all that out of the way, let's begin with title breakdown of the episode. The title of this episode is Pass to the Wind. Just like previous episode, this title is one with a double meaning. The first one is Louise becoming one with his talent, passing it on to Elon Jr. In episode 136, titled The Wolf Knows Doth Know, we have a moment with Louise stating, as you slowly absorb my chi, piece by piece, you see memories in your thought, visions of past lives, things you do not understand. If Louise knows this through his chi alone, once Elon absorbs Louise, he learns all of his abilities of that user, which means the abilities could be transferred via memories as well, giving Elon a newfound insight to his cousins and the trials and tribulations that he conquered over the course of his life, as not only a clan head but as a man as well. Although it may make the title breakdown shorter, we will dive deeper into that in a later section. The second meaning of the title is diving more into the mindset of Shay. The Cubs had known peace up until the first invasion of Titans in Trinidad back in season 1. After that hurdle was conquered, the Cubs are thrusted into war in season 2 and begin to lose pieces of themselves during that season. Shay himself takes every loss personally. In season 2, we get a glimpse into how important the Cubs are to Shay. In episode 50, Andrea tells her father is a lot, but he's keeping himself together and he has to support those boys like brothers. Shay has a bad habit of holding things in so as not to burden others. Master like student, right? Going to show that how Leo brought them together, Shay is keeping them together while also shouldering his own destiny. As we take into account episode 115, how Shay is the reason Azam came back into the fold, he is in fact what Louise claimed him to be, which is the foundation of the Cubs. If he was to die, that foundation would be removed from them, going to show that Shay is the leader of the Cubs, which we all may not have come to that conclusion, but after seeing different story elements displayed, shows the thought that Brent put into the dynamic of the Cubs. As the leader of the pack, Shay is in conflict of interest, as the Cubs would like to help wherever they can. Shay wants to keep them as far away from danger as possible, which in of itself is an impossible promise to keep. At the end of the previous episode, Louise told Shay to let others help shoulder the burden in order to protect those he loved. He ultimately chooses to leave the pack in order to protect them. Pass in the wind is ultimately Shay coming to the decision internally that he is not enough to do what needs to be done since he is constantly losing, going to show that to gain something of equal value must be lost, and to save his pack he will lose his pack and throw his past to the wind. Now with the title broken down, let's move on to the events of the episode. The episode begins with the God tier discussing recent events. One noteworthy thing is that Tevin is there with this girl, going to show that even minor characters are showing their individualized growth outside the view of the reader. Now Reed makes a statement about the Cubs, saying that the Cubs are being at the front and center of the conflict that they only been able to recently digest. Perhaps Leo Thomas understood something we didn't, because his sons are more than well equipped. One of his sons even stood tall against that elusive bat, and where were we? The speed at which these events are playing out quicker than the God tier are used to. Now we know that each God tier has a relationship with Leo, going to show that there was time where they utilized their talent selfishly. Let's take a look at two of the battle-hardened warriors like Minamoto and Yorn. Leo stopped Minamoto's ego-driven rampage, while for Yorn, who was wholeheartedly believed in the glory of battle, felt reborn after finding Jesus through Leo. This allowed him to accept peace in his heart, altering himself from one that ravaged war for ego to now ravaging that same war in order to maintain peace, fighting for those who are not strong enough to fight for themselves, giving them both a newfound responsibility and purpose higher than themselves. Unlike the Cubs, the God tier still had a chance to make mistakes at their age and had time to grow and understand their place in the world. Tevin accepts his place in the world and willing to give all of himself to protect as many as he can, completely unwilling to sacrifice others for his desires, while we see the opposite ideal with Shay, with the ends justifying the means. Each sacrifice tears bits away from the man Shay used to be. With the God tier in their reflective hands, morale being so low, Amara can only come from Reed, saying the shadow has been targeting this group. Master Thomas must have foreseen it. They've been prepped, as Oliveira refers to a simpler time. Now is a time where we need Leo Thomas more than ever. This is one piece of dialogue that I love that Brent has included. We see Leo seldom throughout the story, and where he is shown usually as not only a reflection of the character trials, but also representing the will to overcome that trial. I do want to take a look at a few things Leo represented as a mirror to other characters and also the strength to overcome. The first one is episode 2, where Shay comes back from participating in the Triple MA tournament. This is when he scolds scolds Shay for participating in the tournament and being an underground fighter, and he asks what would happen if he faces someone stronger than he is. Then after smacking Shay, he was asked why was his guard not up when he is now an underground fighter. This scene not only reflects Shay's inexperience, but also how much a simple mistake can have consequences that can't be fixed. If we look at Shay versus Val, this is where Shay officially encounters someone who is stronger than him as a villain in a 1v1 setting. During the war, Shay was stronger than he ever had been and assumed that Val would fight him fairly, thus leaving Tevin completely unprotected, resulting in Val trying to cut through Tevin, forcing Shay to attempt to protect Tevin, misjudging Val's strength with a blood-enhanced Dothanil katana, resulting in him losing an eye. Another time with Tevin during the Ryu Gazgan fight, as Leo appeared in the situation, he was there to comfort Tevin, to get him to understand that at times you will have to take a life for the greater good, as Tevin wants to be more like Leo ideologically. He uses him as a mirror to overcome his greatest hurdle. We have Leo come down as well in Louise's fight, representing his will to protect the pack, but also his acceptance of death. Just because it is inevitable does not mean that it is meaningless, which was the essence of Leo's words, as through pain comes growth, and through growth comes change, which is why Leo always advised Louise to ignore the pain and focus in order to reach something no one before him had. This acceptance granted him the ability of Death Stance. Now, fully embraces the completion of Death Stance, which is him fusing with his talent, granting Louise the Sentinel class. As Louise fully embraces his connection to death, he understands that it isn't something to be afraid of. It also correlates with Louise's role in the K.O.D.E. Now, Sentinel is defined as a station soldier or guard by place to keep watch. This would regard him as a Hemlock stationed as a leader due to his power as he protects his clan. He took a leader role from this clan due to that responsibility, but that did not make him a leader for the K.O.D.E. His role was to watch and help them navigate their turmoil. We see this also taken into account with his position in the panel with all of the K.O.D.E. He's positioned in the back, and when teaming up together, he does not accept the spotlight, choosing to fill in the gaps between each K.O.D.E.'s offense. We did get a bit off course, so let's reroute back to the episode and leave the rest of my thoughts for Louise Funeral. Now, Abijah let us know that Leo defeated Kane in Trinidad. This gives us a lot more credence to why it was a lot tougher to catch Kane, due to him being associated with the island rather than the mainland, causing the margin of error to be a lot bigger, especially since he can leave at the drop of a hat. Now, his army constantly invades Trinidad, using them as a testing ground, which is the testament to Thanatos' failure. When Leo defeated Thanatos, K.O.D.E. was able to raid the base, discover the fluid inside, giving them the ability to create the serum of life from May. Now, we see that Kane bodies being preserved somewhere, which would still likely be on Trinidad. We do know that the serum was also taken there as well to be destroyed during the events of season 2. Now, Reed says after the death of Louise that the Elder's mantle is in full effect, so they can't track Shay per se, but he is made aware of his location due to the mountain being on fire for 2 days, making note that he thought Shay could not contain his grief. However, he has not moved. Now, I want to shout out Dojo because he brought it to my attention first, but this is reminiscent of a picture of Lucifer crying created by Alexander Cabanel in 1847, depicting the devil after his fall from heaven. Connection to Shay, this would be his official fall from the belief of K.O.D.E. being the best thing for Kimyo society. He is disillusioned by the ineffectiveness of this organization. The one thing he asked for was to keep the wolf pack safe, as we see in episode 115. When the dome drops, not only is Yukiko already there, meaning she was put in grave danger again, mere feet away from the enemy he sworn vengeance upon, Azam, who was injured, and Louise, who ultimately lost his life. The pain left him unable to move. But not only that, what happens when you know the way things are won't have a happy outcome, but you also don't have the solution to that problem? In this moment, Shay surrendered his arms. Notagiri blade is pointed toward the ground while it is not in his shadow, in a position where he can grab it if he's exposed to danger, but also in a place where he doesn't want to choose violence in this moment. Similar to the flames being behind Zahara, going to show that Ilios is there with Shay in his darkest hour, at his most vulnerable. He can only surrender. As Reed's last statement states, "All Lord, be on high alert. Consider what may happen when the sun draws too close to the earth." As Oliveira takes into consideration, he informs all present that the first table has fallen. Oliveira says that Thanatos is stronger than the god tier. When he strikes, it will be without warning, going to show that Val's calculative nature is derived from his master, as we transfer over to the funeral of Louise. The funeral itself starts with the scene of a singular flower on a grave. We then switch to an overhead shot of everyone in attendance. Brent layered this scene in order to show the closeness to Louise. We have Emilica, the wife of Louise, and his auntie, the K.O.D.E. behind them, and then the rest of the Hemlock clan. One thing that is noticeable is the environmental change to the funeral. In episode 23, we see the funeral at the Hemlock mansion for Uncle Elon, where it could have been at the family's request to keep it at home. In Louise's case, we seem to be at a public location to allow all Hemlock members to come. Brent has an artistic futuristic point to show the same man at Elon's funeral that was at Louise's funeral, going to show the closeness of that one particular person. Maybe the location changed based off the family member's request or if they are ahead or not. As his auntie says, she buried her husband not too long ago, but still hasn't prepared to bury her son, going to show the emotional toll this position not only had on Louise, but will have on Elon to their loved ones around them. As auntie continues, but fate moves without mercy. Even if we want things to stay the same, we are all at the mercy of time. We see how Louise cares for the cuz, but next statement shows the man that Louise has striven to be and how he had such grace with carrying such a heavy burden. As Minamoto says back in season 2, that weight doesn't matter to a talent like ours. As auntie says, Lord Louise came to us when his mother passed. He has been the firstborn to me in many ways. He held me after burying his uncle and promised I'll never have to bury him as well, even though he knew keeping his word was beyond his control. Amongst his many duties, he helped raise the child of my own body, the son I thought I was too old to bear. And just as my eldest son laid my husband to rest, so too will my youngest lay his brother to rest. As the weight Louise bore to be acknowledged as a heavy one in life filled with duty. As the newest lord approaches with clothes too big for him to fit, symbolically representing the giant shoes that Louise left for Elon to fill. Eyes red, unable to meet the expectation of the entirety of the clan, so he avoids the gaze of all the family members he has known his entire life under the weight of his newfound responsibility. This part of the episode is so powerful because it shows how Louise was viewed from Elon's perspective, going to show how great Louise was as a clan head. As Elon says, Louise Hemlock, my cousin, he was a brother to me. Someone tell me why I'm up here. Why does this night terror persist? It should have ended by now. I shouldn't be here. I should be at home. Big brother should be with his friends. He couldn't have died saving anyone. He never loses. What is this pain? My back feels heavy. Why won't I wake up? Right, so this is real. I am marked. No one is above duty or tradition. Is this what you taught me, cousin? The lady Emilica Hemlock, my cousin's widow, they couldn't conceive. With no blood sibling or child, this is the legitimacy of my inheritance. Thank you for your blessing, my lady. Please guide me, cousin. What makes this powerful is also the burden a young Elon possesses. One, to live up to Louise's name. One, being younger than what Louise was, inheriting the ashes of the father. One, of shouldering the pain his mother feels. When the speech is made, he makes note of Louise not being able to have children with his wife, bringing that inheritance to the forefront, going to show the type of leader he will become in the future. One that his older brother will be proud of, as he forms the hand sign for ashes of the father, ash retrieval, to call his brother into himself. The last lesson Louise learned was to accept pain for the future, and as Elon is burdened with pain and this newfound ability comes the next Ashen Lord. As Louise forms, he places his hand on Elon's shoulder as a reassurance that although he is gone, he is still there with him. Now, one character I want to discuss is Azam Aziz this episode. We see Azam lost his arm that was maimed by Alpha T's nightmare, Azam's Bane. Louis' family member did say it's a big chance that he could lose the arm since there was major nerve damage. The assassin code has failed Azam, using a code that was a coping mechanism to overcome his previous grief, being the cause of him being unable to assist Louis. Unlike Shay, who was outside the dome, Azam witnessed the confidence Louis exuded. Knowing the risk it posed to face the shadow, he tried to cut his own arm off in order to help Louis. But due to the lack of chi, Azam was of no use even after training so hard. This had broken the very confidence he's built up over the course of successful missions. Tevin, on the other hand, understands what Louis sacrificed and that he did everything that he possibly could to get to Louis. This giving him the ability to at least look around at the funeral to meet others' gazes. In Azam's case, he couldn't do anything even though he was right there next to him. Spending most of his time with Louis, he feels that he failed in all facets. Similar to Shay, Azam takes failure personally. With a talent like Kieran being constantly praised, he's not only failing to live up to that expectation, but his own as well. Being the youngest doesn't discredit the pain of failure. This pain will make Azam take a similar road to Shay, where he leaves the pack not due to a higher calling, but due to shame. We see when he failed to protect Yukiko and his girlfriend from the Brian Lara Stadium explosion, he completely cut contact from the pack due to shame. Now with the death of their oldest pack member, their family won't be the same. So there is one more part of the chapter I do want to discuss, so let's talk about it. The last part of the episode is with Shay, as Tevin says that Shay should be down there with them and that Louis' passing is not his fault. Shay takes a similar look as he did on the burning mountain, lamenting at his own powerlessness, only able to shed tears and barely containing the heat from his body, going to show the mental anguish that Louis' death caused. In this silence, Andrea says he deserved to be down there. Back in episode 23, Shay worked in Leo's stead to provide the flame for the cremation for Ash retrieval. He's unable to be there in order to do so. As she say, he's able to talk to her, going to show and understand it built over the course of a lifetime. As she continues, she understands and will share his silence with them, also representing the importance of Andrea to Shay's mental state. He trusts her to be around him at his most vulnerable and allowing himself to be vulnerable, even if he's unable to get the words out, which is what made Louise so important to Azam, because although Tevin is standing beside Azam, he's the closest with Shay, so that's who he's worried about, while Azam sits there wallowing in his own despair, also reflecting the love that Azam and his former lover had. Since Louise is no longer here to make sure Azam is okay, and Azam no longer has a loved one in order to help him burden his pain, in this moment Azam feels even more disconnected from the pack, and is represented perfectly with the way he's looking and how Tevin is looking beyond Azam and right towards Shay. Now this is a new section I would like to add to reviews. If there is a comment I enjoy, I would post a screenshot. The first is from Sandman_JustX saying, I didn't peep it. Bro, I really appreciate your analysis of the narratives, symbolism, science, and real world impact that shapes Ordeal. Truly glad I found your channel, bro. I appreciate you for comments like this. Definitely makes me feel like the hard work is paying off. Anyway, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out, Space Cadet.